everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you a birthday card that I made. This is starting out with some cardstock that has some acrylic paint on it. I was messing around with trying to get pastel color prints for another project with my gel plate, and I was using real light colors plus a lot of white, and this is one of the just kind of junk pieces that was left when I was doing this process. And so I decided to try out some of my new Distress Oxide sprays. These are the companion ink sprays from Tim Holtz Distress line and Ranger that have the same properties as the Distress inks, which everyone loves so much. I'm using a stencil from Stencil Girl, and I'm spraying through it, trying to get kind of some spring flowers. And then in that screen, I was just cleaning off the stencil and making another print by just spraying some water because Distress Oxide is water soluble. So I sprayed some water on the dirty stencil and picked it up with another piece. So then over the top, I wanted to add back in some white because the original piece was kind of light green and light blue colors of acrylic just smooshed on there. And so I'm just using some white acrylic paint and the same stencil and going back over it to add back in some white. And it turns out really pretty. It's very spring-like. It's, to me, spring is pastels and flowers. So I think it's pretty. What I liked about the Distress ink is that it, just like the Distress ink pads, when you put water on it, it gets this it's the oxidization, that's what they're calling it, but it's kind of this weird chalky powdery stuff over the top, but it makes the colors more pastel. And so that's what I did, was to spray a little bit of water on it to make it more pastel. Then I took the 8.5 by 11 sheet and I cut a piece out that is I guess it's 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and then the card that I made is 5.5 by 5 by 11 and folded up, and then I've got a layering piece that's 6 by 6. This is going to be a 6 by 6 square 6 by 6 square card that fits in a vellum envelope that I have. So those are my layers, and I'm liking it. It's pretty, but I need to put something else on it, and I'm thinking about it. I know I'm going to have some type of a sentiment. I have some stamped tissue paper. I was doing a stamped tissue paper exchange, and while I was doing that, I stamped a bunch of the stamps that I hardly ever use because they're not in a place that I can easily access them. Yeah, I need to reorganize. I always need to reorganize. So the person this card is for loves butterflies, and so I decided I wanted to put some butterflies on there, and I have these different ones on some stamped on some tissue paper with archival black ink. They are on just like cheap tissue paper. In fact, it's from the dollar store. I got a whole package of it, like 35 sheets for $1. Just, you know, nothing special, just plain old tissue paper. And I realized that in order to collage those on, like I plan to, I need to seal this piece because, of course, it's Distress Oxide ink. It's going to run with water. So you can see in the one that I sealed in comparison to the two that are on the right-hand side that it did smear it a little bit, but I didn't really mind. Usually when I seal with clear gesso, which is what I sealed it with, I use a brayer and I just lightly brayer over it so that I don't disturb what's on there with the brush. But both of my brayers were soaking as cleaning them in preparation for the live streaming on Thursday. And so I had them soaking overnight and they were both dirty. So then I wanted to add a little bit of other areas of black because now I've got this very pastel piece, and then I have these little butterflies that are stamped in black. So I used a text stamp. It's French text, cursive, and just kind of randomly stamped some text around to make a little bit of visual interest. And then I'm using napkin Deco Art Collage Page, the napkin version, to attach the 3 little butterflies across the card layer and getting them very dry so that they're all ready to go. Trim the edges where there's some little, where they're hanging off a little bit. And now I'm getting happier with my layer. I would say that this is a mixed media card because all the techniques I'm using are mixed media, and it just happens to be with card making. I've been doing that a lot this month. You've seen a few videos. I made Valentine's, and I worked on thank you cards. I think that video was this month. I finally caught up on all my thank you cards. I sent out about 30 of them because I was really behind. So I'm using some double-sided sticky tape from Tombow. This is Tombow Mono Adhesive to attach the colorful layer to the card, which opens, and then the card back to another colorful layer, the pink layer. And that's the base of my card, and then I need to embellish it and give it some sort of a focal image. So I have a stamp set that has the word happy and then a lot of different other words. This one's from Stampin' Up. Doubt it still exists, but it's possible. I'll look for it. When I do the links below the video, I'll try to find it or something similar to link. I'm using, again, archival black ink, and I've made a strip and I've put happy birthday on it in the black ink, and the strip is white because now it's echoing the white layer around the edge. It's actually white gloss cardstock. It's a coated cardstock. I have a ton of it. I mean, I'm never going to use it up. I decide to go around the edges of that little piece as well with some ink, which I also did with the piece that has the flowers on it. I went around the edges with the ink, an ink pad. I just like the way that looks. It's more interesting to me and a little bit more grungy or distressed looking than just putting a black layer on there or using a pen or something. I like the way it looks when I scrape the edges with the pad just by holding it up and scraping it around. So then I have another stamp set that has some large numbers, and so I'm stamping them in a pigment ink. It's Encore, but it's basically sticky ink that's gold because I didn't want to use my Versamark. I'm planning on putting glitter over the top, but I knew that some of the glitter would allow the background underneath to show, and I didn't want it to be clear. So for that reason, I used gold sticky ink. And then over the top, I'm putting some heat and stick powder. It's an embossing powder. When heated is sticky. So it's good for sticking things down like glitter or flocking. And then I put some pink glitter, pink sparkly glitter over it, and the glitter sticks to the sticky embossing powder, and then I have glitter numbers. Then I cut those out and I'm going to put them on the card. They are the number 80, which is what the card is about, 80th birthday. We're having a party this weekend. It's my mother's 80th birthday. So I'm pretty happy with that. I still need something else, and I come back later to finish the card because it's starting to get to that point of the afternoon where the sun comes on my desk and I can't film during that time because the sun just creeps across my desk and makes everything weird. So coming back to the card the next day, I start by kind of fixing the one butterfly in the middle. When it was stamped on a fold of the tissue paper, and it wasn't well stamped. So I fixed it with a pen, and then I'm using again the Distress Oxide inks in their spray bottles, and I'm just dipping a small brush into them and using them as a paint to color the butterflies. And then I go back with a black pen, and two of the butterflies, the bodies, I guess you would say, the butterfly bodies are not colored in. They're just, you know, part of the outline or whatever. So I color them in to make them black. And I'm pretty happy with my little butterflies. Add some white dots around, some, you know, little highlights or whatever. So then I decide to put some gold paper. This is another little scrap of a gel print from some other day, some other lifetime, I don't know. And I have a strip of it left, and I decided to put that across the bottom just to make kind of a torn edge looking, which mimics to me the edges where I've put the ink on. Kind of a, I don't know, grungy look. So this is a combination of styles, which is what I like to do, blend everything together. So I decide that since I'm putting that gold paper on there, that I need some more gold metallic. So I get a little bit of acrylic paint in gold, water it down a little bit, and use a fan brush to make splatters across the card. These you can't see in the video, but you'll be able to see them in the close-ups at the end of the video. And then I also do that to the little strip. I think that it needs gold splatters too. So I put another piece underneath there and do that as well. I hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or question below. You can say happy birthday to my mom. She reads all the comments on my videos. Of course, you can share this as well on Pinterest or Facebook if you think it's a pretty card and you like the techniques. So then I'm using some dimensional foam squares. Oh, these things. Taking the backs off of them really annoys me. But it's effective. It lifts up that piece and makes it stand out from the card. And then this is a piece of tulle, pink tulle, something that came in a package, I think for working on wedding stuff. It's just light pink netting. And I wadded it up and taped the bottom of it and then stuck it behind and glued it down. And then put my numbers on there, my glitter numbers. And I decide that that's pretty much everything that card needs. I'm going to put it in its vellum envelope, which is kind of a translucent paper. And a pretty little card for an 80th birthday. Thanks. Bye-bye.